gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Feeling like a piece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Then you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Daydream masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.
Peace, peace, peace. What's up? What's good? What's happening? This is Coach Bay. This is another episode of Design Your Life. Welcome. And I just want to begin by thanking my guests for being here. But this is an opportunity for you to see someone who has crafted a life around dreams and talents and aspirations and is living a fulfilled life. It's also an opportunity for you to see it, not only see it, but believe that it's possible for you to do as well. So, we're going to get right into it, but I got to introduce my guest today. He is a father. He's a husband, dedicated man of God, mentor to many, University of Nevada Wolfpack alum. He made 4 appearances in the NCAA basketball tournament. I'm gonna keep going for a minute here. Named Defensive Player of the Year, former professional European basketball player, named to the Euro Challenge All Imports team, champion of Finland's top basketball league, former NBA D-League player, former high school basketball coach, founder of BUA Basketball University Academy, CEO of Dignity Health Sports Complex, a real estate investor, a good brother, a good man, and someone I can call a friend, the one and only Kyle Shiloh. What's happening, Shiloh?
That's funny.
How you feeling, brother?
Man, you just named off like 18 different things. But like, that's crazy. Just thinking about that as well. I'm good.
Yeah,
appreciate you.
No, for sure. It's interesting, just kind of like taking a trip back over time a little bit. And that's actually where I want to start. I want to start at the beginning. So tell me where you're from and what it was like growing up, like what it felt like, smelled like, in your neighborhood and just in the house. And what was that like?
Bakersfield, California, born and raised. Parents, entrepreneurs, teachers, mentors, doing pretty much the same thing I'm doing now. They did for forever. I think they taught for 40 years. I think they coached for 30 of those years. They were the first ones to bring group homes to Bakersfield, which was a big deal back then. Now they're everywhere, but they were the first ones to bring group homes to Bakersfield. They started a diaper service. I think my mom was a real estate agent at one point. There's multiple other businesses that they started along the way. So education, entrepreneurship, and, athletics was pretty much my upbringing. And, very much just being involved with everything that I got going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was very blessed, to have 2 parents that didn't grow up with everything, to be honest with you. My mom was raised on a farm,
Where's she from?
Wasco. Yeah, okay. Wasco. And then my dad, was kicked out the house when he was 16. He's from Richmond, Oakland.
Okay.
So he was on the streets, very young. So for them to go through all of that and then, move to Bakersfield and have kids and do the best that they can, and everything that they've accomplished is pretty crazy growing up seeing that.
So that's interesting because they went through all of that. They at some point decided to be entrepreneurs, and that I'm assuming that bug kind of filtered off to you. But this is an off question I wasn't even thinking about. What about their parents? Were their parents like entrepreneurs? Did they have that kind of entrepreneurial?
Lightweight. My mother. So her father, my grandfather, was a farmer, and they bought she told me some crazy story about he bought like a junkyard at one point, and that was like one of his businesses, and then they end up buying a farm, and then he ended up becoming a farmer where he's producing all of his own stuff, and they're so in some way, but he didn't have a high school education.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, for him to do that and know only what he knows, and for her to see that, I'm sure attributed to her being an entrepreneur or wanting to start businesses when she got older. But my father, definitely not. She was you know, his mother, my grandmother, was a single mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way she was an entrepreneur at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think he was more like the boots on the ground soldier type, and then my mom was more like the mastermind behind everything and the paperwork and all that. And that's kind of how they worked together to run those businesses over the years.
Got it. All right, so as a kid, did you have, like, what was the thing that you loved to do or that you dreamt about as a young kid that you like to do the most?
Oh, hooping. Like 1,000,000%.
Okay.
Like, that was it.
From the beginning?
From the beginning.
Got it from your pop?
Yeah, you know, he played at Cal State Bakersfield, so he moved from Richmond, Oakland, and played at Cal. He was on one of the first teams at Cal State Bakersfield, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, he holds the record for the most shot attempts, right? Not the most points, but the most shot attempts. Okay. Which tells you where he coming from. But, yeah, man, they were both coaches. So, you know, my mom coached Nikki Blue back in the day, you know, all kind of players, you know, Rochelle Oliver, whoever can go that far back. And I used to be under her chair, you know, on the sideline during games and all that.
I remember having a conversation with your dad one time. He was telling me how he used to have bounce.
Yeah, I got video of his 1 foot. So I didn't believe it until one of his old time friends, Roger Carr, the Carr's father, gave me like an old CD of his games. And that boy was in transition, got off 1 foot. Yeah, he was up there. I didn't get that. I didn't get that 1 foot, but he had it for sure. Okay, nice. All right, so when you were young, did you have like specific goals when you were young, or did the goals and that specific stuff, did that come later on? Yeah, you know, I talked to my kids about this actually. I had goals, but like I didn't talk about them a lot. I just kind of assumed they would happen. So I guess that's good and bad. I don't know. But college basketball obviously was the goal. I wish it would have been, you know, like a higher, a higher thought process to that. A bigger dream, or what do you mean? Not necessarily a bigger dream, but like a more detailed thought process on how I would get there, you know, exactly what school. Right. What I mean? Like what I wanted to accomplish when I got there. Getting specific around the goal. Yeah. And now, like, you know, that's what I'm instilling in my kids, which I already see is benefiting them big time. But for me, it was just like, oh, yeah, I'm going to play college ball, and then you know, I'm going to be a pro. But it wasn't like I want to be in the NBA. Right. It wasn't like I want to go to Duke. Right. It wasn't that specific. So it was always hooping at the next level. I just assumed that it was going to happen, being just a ignorant little kid, you know. Man, I think it's really important. The same thing, like, you know, and I didn't really have a big vision for a lot. I was just kind of like day by day. But it's so important, I think, to get really specific and get really clear. Because when you get specific and you get clear, then you can put together a plan, and then, you know, you can reach that space for sure a lot more efficiently and effectively. So yeah, no, for sure. All right, let's fast forward real quick to high school. Okay. All right, so you've been hooping for a minute. You're getting better. I don't know if you were 6'3" in high school or not, but you're hooping now. So who were you in high school? As a player and as just like a regular dude? Yeah, I mean, in Bakersfield, you easily get wrapped up in the hype of, you know, you're the better kid around here, and everybody starts, you know, treating you a certain way or whatnot, when in reality you ain't that good. That's definitely, you know, Bakersfield environment can give you that false, you know, confidence about yourself. Okay. So around here, obviously, like, it was pretty easy for me as an athlete. And then, you know, when I go to LA, it's like, okay, now I'm playing with the brothers, and, you know, and the dogs, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. They really about it. So that was a tough transition going into high school, because I was used to it. I've been going to LA since I was like 11 years old. But high school was just, you know, a whole nother world. So we basically cheated. We went to Garces and we recruited, and we got Robert Swift and Zach Ryan and Christian Martin and Anthony Esparza. So we was like ranked in the country, which back then was a big deal, because not like now where you get all these rankings. But if you top 25 in USA Today as a high school team, like, that's crazy. So we had that, like, I think starting my sophomore or junior year. And then, you know, we didn't win state championship or anything like that, so we fell short pretty much every year. But all of us went on to play at the next level. Obviously, Rob went to the NBA out of high school, and that was a pretty dope experience. So high school was was pretty rare for me.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. All right, so you start talking about college a little bit. So University of Nevada.
Yeah.
And before I talk about hoops a little bit, what in terms of your major, how did you decide what you were going to study?
See, that's another one. Just like I said, with in terms of athletic goals, I can't say I wish anything because I have never used that piece of paper. I've honestly never had, quote unquote, a real job. I've been an entrepreneur since forever, honestly. So I've never used my degree.
Okay.
But I definitely have used the tools and what I've learned from college in terms of communication major.
Okay.
Just understanding how to speak, do something like this, right? Not pee on myself when I get in front of 100 plus people and I'm speaking.
Right.
And I'm sitting in a meeting. Can I handle myself appropriately? You know, am I stuttering? Am I losing track of my words? So definitely help with that.
Yeah.
But I was a communications major, and really that just came about like not knowing what to do, and I think I got direction from my academic advisor on that one. She said, try it out, you might be good.
Okay.
So I honestly had no idea what I wanted in terms of a major going in.
So it's funny. So we talked about like being specific with the goals, and just because a lot of people were the same way. Just like not really. Sure. You go into school and you're just like, all right, I'm here. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. Somebody says, okay, we'll try this out. Would you have done anything different now?
Oh, for sure.
In terms of like your major and like your outlook on it.
For sure. And I don't know why I didn't, think about this, or why I wasn't kind of like, pushed towards this, but a business major of any sort would have been appropriate in terms of my family background and my personality and obviously what I wanted to do, but just wasn't thinking about that at the time. You know what I mean?
Man, I remember this guy, he majored in entrepreneurship.
For sure.
And I heard of being an entrepreneur, but I was like, entrepreneurship, like as a major, like is that, and this was at a point where it was all about computers, all about coding and that kind of stuff. So it's just interesting, man, because we don't think about those things. We don't visualize the future many times. It's just kind of like going day by day. I want to know, what's the biggest difference for you, specifically for people that's watching, like the difference from high school, and we're talking about academics, high school to college. What was like the biggest difference for you?
I think being able to look yourself in the mirror is a big one for me. I think going from high school, you're babied a lot. College, you're baby too as an athlete. Keep it real, like you know that.
Yeah.
They telling you when to wake up, sit down, when to eat, when to work out, but your parents are not around. Right. Is the benefit of growth that you get, going into college. So I think the realistic approach to like looking in the mirror and saying like, all right, this is who I am. This is what I need to work on. This is what I do well. This is where I'm trying to go. Yeah. And not blame other people for stuff. Yeah. Because I think from high school to college, most kids are going to take their faults and look for someone else to blame for that, whether it's a coach, a parent, or even I could sit here right now and say like, oh, I wish my parents would have taught me this and that, and I would have been. But the reality is the information is out there for one, right? For two, God put you in that place for a reason, right? So you can learn whatever you need to learn to grow however you need to grow. And, it is what it is. So, and
it don't help either, to be honest with you. I mean, the blame game and all that, but accountability, man, is so important. Just as an individual, in my opinion, it's just so important as an individual, because we've seen people play the blame game, and I haven't really seen the blame game work out and been in a beneficial way for anyone.
Well, it feels good. That's the problem with it. Yeah, is it feels good temporarily, and we're just a culture built off of those small moments of feeling better instead of just kind of like going through the stuff and just growing. That's why it's so easy to do, because it's like a cop-out.
Right. And no, it is a cop-out.
It's a cop-out.
It is a cop-out. All right, let's talk about hoops a little bit. All right, so going from high school star, the guy in Bakersfield, then you go to University of Nevada. What was like the biggest, what was that transition like? And then what was like the biggest challenge as a collegiate player?
It was tough.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the I can't even say that now. 38, I done been through so much, but at that point, it was for sure the hardest point of my life. You know, you going into Kirk Snyder, who got drafted 7, and actually my high school teammate Robert Swift got drafted the same draft class, and I think Robert went first. I think Robert went like 4th or 5th. I think Kirk went like 7th, but Kirk is 6'7". Like, I mean, he's a monster. He's super athletic. He's a dog. He was bipolar. Don't get me wrong. So that played into it even more. You playing against a bipolar 6'7", like physically, you know what I mean? So I'm going from Bakersfield to that, and then you got Kevin Pinckney, who is an NBA guy. You know, you guys probably won't know these names, but Marcellus Kemp was crazy out of Seattle. You had Gary Hill Thomas, who was like 6'4", just swole and just physical. I got a scar on my chest still to this day from that dude, just all up in me and D'ing me up. So it was a wake up experience. And then, you know, I played probably half the season, played really well, and my attitude and body language and things of that sort was so bad that Trent Johnson, who he's a crazy dude, but you know, I learned a lot from him. He benched me the entire second half of the season.
And why did he bench you?
Dragging my feet through the airport. One specific moment, I think we played against Kansas at home, and I think I had like 12 points on ESPN. So you can't tell me nothing. Yeah. Can't tell me nothing. And we're ranked top 25 in the country, and we're in the airport. I think we're going to Rice or something like that. And you know, I had got kicked out of practice my first week. Like he's trying to teach me something, right? Which was basically in transition when you're point guard, advancing the ball, you're not going to give your big, your 4, your 5 too early of a pass to make them put the ball on the ground. Right? And I kept doing that over and over. So he basically kicked me out of practice every single day because I kept doing it. Right. So I'm tired, and I'm mad, and I'm just annoyed, right? Right. So Kansas, 12 points. I think it was like next day we're in the airport. I'm dragging my feet, and one of the assistant coaches said something, and I was like, man, I don't even care no more. I think I said it exactly like that. I was like, man, I don't even care no more. And he said, what? You say what? And I said, you heard me? That dude went right to Trent and was like, this is what Kyle said. Yeah. I didn't see a second the rest of the season. And it's like, you know, that was a great learning lesson for me, though, just in general. And then I looked myself in the mirror, you know, a lot that year, and decided if I want to transfer, if I want to stay. Trent ended up leaving. Mark Fox ended up getting a job, head job, who was the assistant at the time, and he originally recruited me. And I stayed, and everything went really well.
Man, it's I'm glad. Thanks for sharing that, because it's like a lot of times people see, you know, the ESPN stuff. They see, you know, the pro basketball player and all that kind of stuff, but they don't see like the struggles, and just I would say from a male standpoint, with the attitude and the ego, and I am the guy in your head, and how that could derail people. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of guys that can't take that look in the mirror and make the change, man. And I'm sure you've experienced a lot of them, guys with mad talent, but their attitude gets in the way. And, you know, sometimes you get players that think, okay, I'm doing it on the court. You know, what does my attitude off the court even have to do with anything? Right. But all that stuff translates and can impact your future. You 100%. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm grateful to have coaches that held me accountable. I'm grateful to have parents that didn't allow me to quit. I remember being on the phone crying multiple times, like wanting to quit and come home. And, you know, I'm dealing with Z in the same way, which is a whole nother story. You know what I mean? Just the bouncing back and forth, like, can I really do this? Like, do I really want to do this? You know, do I want to just quit and go back to my comfort zone? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids are famous for doing that. Yeah. And it's like there's just no growth there. So I'm very fortunate to have a coach that did not lie to me. Yeah. You know what I mean? He could have lied to me and just babied me through it. My mom could have babied me through it. Yeah. But she was just like, you're not quitting. You can transfer, but she was like, you're not going to quit. Yeah, yeah. And then she was at one point, she was like, you ain't transferring.
Look, man, I mean, realistically, you talk about keeping it real. The people that tell you when your stuff stinks are the ones that really care about you the most. You know what I mean? A lot of times people have agendas, whether it be coaches in business or whatever it is, they have agendas. And you get the yes, sir, yes, ma'am type of people because it's something they want to get out of you. And the people that's going to tell you when when you're walking down the wrong path, those are the ones that you want to listen to and really value. But unfortunately, a lot of times, we like to be held up and feel good about ourselves and the things that it appears that we're doing.
Yeah, to be honest, I need more of that in my life right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's something that again I tell especially Zeb, I tell a lot of kids this, that there's very few times in your life where you're gonna have people actually like reach out to you to want to help you. You know what I mean? That all stops at generally a young age.
Yeah.
So like to have a coach bring me in his office, sit me down and say, look, I love you, but you got to look yourself in the mirror right now. You got two options. You can quit or you can keep going and be the person that, we all know that you can be.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like he called me in the office. He could have just been like, yo, peace.
Yeah, yeah. No, for sure. 100%.
Really? Because I had my name. I had everything ready to transfer and all that. You know what I mean? So definitely environment is key to, I think, being successful at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, for sure. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. I do want to talk a little bit more about college. So y'all went to the NCAA tournament 4 years in a row. Mm-hmm. What was the experience? Because people have played, you play in high school, you play in summer leagues, you play in front of crowds. Mm-hmm. But what's the experience like playing in the AA tournament? Yeah,
it's crazy. It's like, I think the first year, which like I said, I got benched. So I had to watch all of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm in there, but like I ain't in there like that. You know what I'm saying? But I think when we came back from the Sweet 16 game, you had a line of people from the moment we got off the plane, all the way through the airport, all the way on the streets, all the way to the university. Just lines of people just cheering for us on both sides of the streets as we're riding our bus. And then, I think we beat Gonzaga that year. We beat Michigan State that year with names, Adam Morrison and all these guys. And it's just, you got police escorts everywhere. The attention that's on you is just insane. Mm-hmm. So I did get to experience that for 4 years. And I think my sophomore and junior, we played Illinois in Indianapolis. Okay. When they had like D Brown and Luther Head, and they were like undefeated, and I think they lost to Florida in the championship. There was 60,000 people at that game, which back then that was a lot. Right now they're like 100,000 for every round, but you can't hear the person standing 2 steps away from you because it's that loud in the arena.
60,000. Yeah,
you're it's a football arena.
Right.
It was where the Colts played.
Right.
And you have 60,000 people in there, and your ears are buzzing because you can't hear. Right. And we're having to do sign language to each other, standing right next to each other. So like you see this on TV, and you're like, oh yeah, that looks tough. Yeah, but it's like. I can't explain it. It's a moment that like you grow so much from just being in that environment and having to like push through all of the, you got the magazines. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing my face on USA Today magazine. It was crazy. Like you have the media is nuts. Yeah. You got all your boys watching you. So as a young kid, that's definitely a big deal.
For sure.
I can't imagine now with social media.
Yeah.
But nah, it's not something that people understand.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I can just imagine the energy and having to block out all of the noise to get on the court and just perform. I think people underestimate it. Most people don't get that experience, so I think it's cool to just kind of shed some light on that. Okay, so, all right, so college is basically over at this point. When did you start thinking about, I know you said you had the idea of playing pro ball, but like what, at one point in college were you like, okay, this is for real, I'm gonna go play ball, like professional?
I mean, everybody was kind of going to the league around me. It was crazy. Everybody was either going overseas or going to the NBA
Okay.
around me. So it began
As
to be,
as a freshman, this was happening as you were.
yeah, not really, because when I first went to Nevada, they weren't like a major program; they were mid-major. So
Okay.
my freshman year was the first time like we really made some noise. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, now it was like Nick Fazekas is an All-American. He's the same year as me. He's a 2010 guy. You know, he was getting NBA looks, and pretty much there's a lot of guys. JaVale McGee came in my junior year.
Okay.
You know, so he's 7'1".
Right.
Still, you know, nothing like he is now, but 7'1", huge hands, can almost touch the top of the backboard.
Crazy
so
athlete.
you knew what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
So yeah, the talks were like around, and then it started to be considered more. And then I think after my senior year, well, like probably almost after the midway mark of my senior year, I found out that agents were asking about me for going overseas. And then after the season, my coach just basically gave me a big stack of emails from agents that wanted to talk to me, and he was like, "What do you want to do?" And then that's when I kind of knew. So
that was going to happen.
Yeah, at least that I was going to play. You know,
Right.
I didn't know how or where or whatever,
But I know there were some doubters out there because your role. Let me back up real quick because your role for them 4 years. What was your role? Because I know you were a star in high school. So, but what was your role?
So obviously freshman year was like sit there and watch and learn.
Yeah.
Right. Sophomore year was like you're starting because you have changed and grown, but working your jump shot.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have one. So I was primarily a defender, just trying to get on the court with some really good guys.
Yeah.
So that's how I got my in, I guess.
Playing defense.
All defense. Like J.C. Carroll, probably don't know that name. He made millions of dollars overseas. That boy was like Rip Hamilton when Rip was coming off of the staggers over.
Yeah.
So like he's at Utah State. I'm having to guard that dude for the entire game and chase him consistently.
That's crazy.
And so on. Every single game was like one of those. So that's how I got my in, and then I worked on my jump shot, and then I became, you know, like the defender and the shooter.
Okay.
And then my senior year just kind of developed into, you know, a scoring option, and so yeah, it was a transition every single year, pretty much, of just getting better.
Yeah. Okay. So, but were there? I know you had supporters, but were there doubters that you could do it?
Bruh, there was an article again.
Okay.
In a big time newspaper, I can't remember. They was making fun of you see me shoot, like my shot is ugly still today, right? They said it looked like I was having a back spasm.
Oh shit.
Like, you know what I'm saying? This is a big time paper.
Right.
And they said it looked like I'm having a back spasm, and then my percentage was so bad that they were like basically making fun of the fact that I'm still shooting the ball.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
No,
you talk about doubters and haters, like, because we're ranked in the country, like you're gonna have that
For sure.
But I think like the overwhelming support from my family, for sure, I would say it's kind of like the one thing that not got me through it, but just that I cared about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you know, I think everybody has at least one if you make it to that level, everybody has at least like one or two people that kind of like have helped them get there. So
For sure.
Yeah,
But how did you get past the noise of the naysayers? And I call them the naysayers and the dream slayers. How did you get past that?
I don't know, man. Like, you know, you talk about 60,000 people, jump ball goes up, you don't see nothing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And if
sure.
you're in the right environment, like you're not around it. That's why I said with social media now, I can't imagine because they're so accessible. Back then, we were very like private.
Yeah, it was
Locker room
isolated.
stuff. Yeah, locker room stuff.
Everything was like pretty much. I mean, yeah, Sports Center, but you pretty much was like magazines.
Yeah, you didn't know about it unless it was like on TV or in a magazine or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think we were protected back then, you know. Now that's definitely not the case. So
Yeah,
it wasn't too hard.
I think now, especially nowadays, with what you just said, the young players, young people, they need more support now more than ever because, you know, and you need people that are going to tell you no and kind of rein you in because there's so many outlets to tell you how great you are.
For sure.
And just kind of distract you. So it's just interesting. All right, so you go overseas. What countries did you play in?
Oh man, Finland, Italy, Switzerland, Poland, France, Romania. I don't know, I was everywhere.
What was that experience like? Because again, so I'm from Philly. I know what it is to be in the city of Philadelphia, right down the street from New York. When I moved here, people said they started calling me Surfer Boy, even though I never touched a surfboard.
Yeah.
So it's just moving from one environment to the next. Philadelphia was definitely different than California. Like the whole vibe, everything was just different. I've traveled a little bit, but what was the atmosphere? What was it like living overseas?
Not what you think or thought it was gonna be, honestly.
In a good way or a bad way?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I think in the good way, it was slow.
Okay.
Like overseas is just a lot more calm and chill and laid back. Like, you know, for example, in some of the even mid-major cities, they're closing all the stores at like 8 o'clock. Right, which is kind of unheard of here. You know, there's a lot of 24-hour stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like bills and work and all that, it's very manageable. So they're not overly stressed like it is here. As soon as you hit the boots, you know, as soon as you hit the ground here, you're just automatically like, yo, I got a car payment, I got a house, I got it's not like that over there. So it's the easiest money I ever made in my entire life. You wake up, you get a check, you go to practice in the morning, you come back, take a nap, go to practice in the evening, and then you're doing that every single day. Right. And you're getting paid to do it.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Now, there's obviously some gray line in there, but, you know, it was the easiest life I ever had. And I do miss that part about it. But the tough stuff was like, you're isolated. You know what I mean? And you're away from your family. It is very different in every way. Language, food. Right. Like weather. You know what I mean? But there's a middle there if you can make sense of it. There's a healthy middle there that gives you an amazing experience. I mean,
you named off several different countries. So language, because I know, you know, for the most part, English is spoken around the world. But was there any like issues from a language standpoint, whether it be just like from a living standpoint or with teammates? Because you're now playing with teammates that I would imagine don't all speak English.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm just, as soon as you said it, I'm picturing some European teammates I had that don't speak English. And our conversations were hilarious, trying to figure out what each other was saying.
Right.
But, I mean, I've had some coaches that don't speak any English.
Okay.
And I had to learn the language. I've had some teammates that speak very little English, but I don't know, somehow we understood each other. I can't even explain that one.
Well, I mean, hooping is, you know, we can just get out there and we can just play, but obviously you're in a structured space. You have a team, you have plays, you have, you know, there's some level of dialogue. Yeah. I still don't know how we got that done, but the older generations overseas definitely know English. So as you're out and about, you come across that's pretty difficult to try and get what you want, but I don't know, man, we just figured it out, you know? For sure.
When I was in France, I definitely learned the language. I don't remember it now, but every country I went to, I learned the basics of communication. So going to grocery stores, going into department stores, whether you're riding public transportation, getting taxis, like you can do what you need to do.
For sure.
Unless you're that lazy to not to not learn the bare basics of a language, it's crazy. Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've been places, but it's just, especially going and living in, because we're talking about, 10 years, I want to say? 11-year span was what your career was, and just going from different cities, different countries, and I can just imagine just the experience of just being overseas. You know, I did have a conversation with Z, and you know, I'll talk to you about that. But yeah, I think it's a wonderful opportunity, a wonderful experience. You know, just in general. I do have one more question, just about basketball. And just for young players, well, let me back up before we get to the advice part of it. So you played for 11 years, and I consider you doing a Jim Brown because you won a championship. You won a championship, and then you retired. Yeah. Right. So what was that like? What was that last 7-game series? Yeah. What was that last series like? Because I'm assuming you already knew at that point that was a wrap. It was over
definitely,
with. Right. So what was that last series like? I don't know how many games it went, but what was that last series? The last.
Yeah, I actually just talking to my wife about this the other day. Cause I can't remember talking to my wife or somebody else, but so basically I pretty much decided like 3 years prior that I was gonna start lining this up.
Okay.
My body was breaking down. I was tired. Like, it's a grind. Like, for real, it's a grind that I definitely took for granted. Being 38 and like missing basketball for sure, playing it. Not coaching it, but playing it. And we were kind of preparing for this. So that year was kind of crazy because I broke my hand also, knowing it was my last year. I'd already set it up. So I missed a ton of games.
In that last season.
Yeah, my team was actually doing pretty bad without me. So I had to sit there and watch that for like, I think a month or two, probably like 2 months. First time I ever broke anything. So that was pretty crazy. And then I come back and we start winning and, we end up, winning everything. And I played really, really well. So then I get that thought like, damn, do I really want to stop playing?
Right.
That kind of hit me again.
Right.
And then like crazy story, I can't remember which game it was, but I lost my cool. I lost my temper like bad, which I rarely did that as a player.
Yeah.
And the ref called the stupidest foul on me. And it was like tied game. If we lost, we would have been out, which would have been my last game of my career.
Right, right.
And I go off on the ref and I go crazy. I think I even threw the ball. Like I did some stuff I never do before. And I get ejected. And when I'm walking off, I'm like, did I just get ejected in possibly the last game of my career? Like it was a big just aha moment and just
right. So your teammates came through and y'all didn't lose the game.
Yeah, like my dude DJ who went to Illinois, he actually hit like a game winner, I think, and then we went on to win the next game and then went to the championship, and then it was a pretty decent series for the championship, but it was crazy.
Yeah. No, that's dope. I mean, that's things got to come to an end. But the cool thing is that you said this was like a 3-year process. You had already been thinking about it, and I would imagine, unlike high school or even when you were younger, where you were like, okay, I want to play pro ball, but I'm not really specific. It sounds like you were trying to get a little more specific around what you were going to do.
Yeah, like my whole professional career, I knew I had already started my business. In 2009.
Okay.
Yeah, 2009. I graduated 2007. So I started my business in 2009. And I was growing that the entire time I was playing professionally. So that's when I started planning and actually strategizing on what I want to do 10 years from now or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And, a lot of guys around me didn't do that. They were all just hooping, looking at me crazy while I'm on the phone, on buses after games, talking to parents or talking to trainers or coaches that I got or whatever. Yeah. And they was like, what are you doing? And then when I retire and they retire, they're like, now I get it. You know what I'm saying? They looking back like 6-7 years. They were like, damn, I remember when you were growing that. That's crazy. Yeah. So I already knew I just had some like little details that I had to like fix and put together so that I could actually be ready to retire. So I already knew what I wanted to do.
That's and we can't like skip over that. That part of while you're in the thing, which at this point is like basketball. While you're in the thing you love, just playing, hooping overseas, having fun, whatever. Planning for the future. Yeah. And kind of taking a step back away from maybe some of the fun and really diving into it. Sounds like it like really paid dividends in terms of just even time. You know what I mean? And I personally believe that time is the most valuable thing that we have. And if you can just save 6-7 years, man, that can be tremendous. So I want to know what kind of advice you have for young players, because there's some young players out there watching this right now and thinking about going to pros. What advice do you have for a young player that may be elementary, high school, that's thinking about going to pro route?
I think you can't really think about that or talk about it or acknowledge it unless you are in that environment, right? So I always use like LeBron's son, Bronny, as an example. like he's around that world. He's in that world consistently since he was a little kid. He's got NBA guys going around him. You know, he's probably, you know, LeBron's best friends are NBA players. He's at practices. He's at games. That's all he knows. So you can't say you want to be even a college basketball player unless you have someone around you who's done it and can give you the map. You can, but it's just, especially nowadays, it's really hard.
Yeah.
So if that's what you want to do, whatever that is, you need to surround yourself around those type of people, like-minded people. Otherwise, you're going to have people saying like, oh, man, you should do this instead of that. Or you should go left instead of right. And the truth is, you shouldn't go left or right. You probably should be going up or down.
Right.
But they don't know that.
Yeah, because they haven't done it.
No, because they haven't done it. So I think, like, for Bakersfield, that's the biggest pet peeve that I have is, like, you don't have people who have accomplished the dreams that kids are trying to think about or talk about, and they're the ones that's giving them that advice. So they're just getting really bad advice half the time, or maybe just falling short of the type of advice they need, so they just almost reach their goals.
I think behind that is just being intentional, right?
Yeah.
Being intentional about the people that you surround yourself with, and you know, if you got this big dream, right? A part of that is making some big and tough decisions, and a part of that is who you decide to have in your life and who you decide that you have to love from afar a little bit. Because sometimes I always say our family is the one sometimes that can sink your ship faster than anybody else. The friends, for sure. And, you know, we get caught up into this loyalty piece. And instead of being loyal to ourselves and our dream, we are loyal to people who, you know, kind of, I don't know, grew up with us in the sandbox.
Yeah, you're actually really good at that, though, in terms of your environment and, like, going out and searching for what you need. You know what I'm saying? So that's a major point in terms of, like, I think a lot of kids sit back and expect the help to come to them or the opportunity to come to them. Yeah. And it's like, if you're trying to be a college player, you got to create that, especially nowadays. Like, you got to create that. It's not just highlight tapes. It's not just working out. It's not just trying to play on the right club team. It's like you said, being intentional about where do I want to go. All right, I'm going to literally go there, whether it's a team camp, whether I'm walking on campus. You might have to do all the above because it's so competitive. Yeah. But no one's telling them that, you know? Everybody's just like, yo, if you win a state championship, you can get a scholarship, and that's just not true. Yeah. Or you play on the right club team, you're going to get it. That's not true. You know what I mean? There's so much more to it now. So you really just got to be in the right environment to get the right direction. For sure.
All right, so let me just back up real quick before we move forward, because I want to talk to you about your career and stuff. But like, when you were overseas, how did that experience like impact you? Whether it be like relationships or mentors or opportunities, like how did being there? Because again, you're going to an entirely different country, entirely different everything. How did that impact like the future for you going forward?
I think like my wife is the best example of that, because she was so shy when she first came over with me, right? She was over with me for a lot of the years. Like going to a grocery store, getting groceries, using euros, right? And having to speak the language, because the people that work at the grocery stores most of the time were older at the time. So you couldn't speak English. You have to speak their language. For sure. You're using money that you've never even seen before. Right. So it's hard, right? Like, you're getting a coin that's a euro. You're getting, like, 100 euros. You got to do the translation, make sure you're not
getting cheated or
whatever, right?
Paying too much, right?
So, and then driving a stick, right? Driving a stick at that time, like, I had to learn that.
So it was all manuals for the most part.
Primarily, yeah. That's just how it is over there. So there's just a bunch of different things, right? That like you had to like overcome. Yeah. So it's adversity, like every step of the way. And when you get there, they're dropping you off. Your apartment's empty. Like it's just cold. Okay. Like if you can just imagine, like you get picked up by your GM at the airport, you drive, I don't know, maybe an hour to your city or whatever, and then they let you off. They walk you up, open the door, you walk in. It's just an empty, dark room. And then they're just like, basically like, all right, you got practice in the morning. You need anything, let me know. Here's my number, da-da-da. And they walk out, and then you're just sitting in the room. You're just like, you're just looking around. You just look around like, all right, what do I do? Right. And that was how it started. But then, like, year after year, it was like, all right, I'm about to get out of here, go walk around, go explore the city. You know what I'm saying? But the initial point was like, what just happened?
Right.
So, like, overcoming that is tons of growth as a person. You just become somebody different, like, right away.
Yeah.
So
what about relationship? You still have relationships from that time?
I mean, over the years, it's kind of like dwindled a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, I have teammates that I love that are European guys, man. Like, they're cool. Like, they was my brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, Andre Mendaki is a guy. He was almost Americanized though. He was like an American. But Romanian dude, just very, 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 very good guy. You know, my family was close with his. So yeah, we kept in touch. And then all the fans, like, weird. Even today on my birthday, like, I get, Facebook, everybody.
Okay.
It's like 90% European. It's
Is
crazy.
that right?
Still to this day, yeah.
That's dope.
It's wild.
Okay. So you mentioned you started your business in 2007? 2009.
I graduated in 2007.
What business was that?
Just the basketball academy part.
Okay, so BUA.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to us about BUA. What is BUA?
So BUA was Basketball Universe Academy. That's how it started. It's now Game Day Sports Academy.
You started off as a nonprofit?
It was a nonprofit.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know why. I think, honestly, I don't know. Just very not knowledgeable of which direction to go at that point. But we were a nonprofit, and it started with me just going and grabbing kids and putting them in the gym. And like, Tyron Wallace was actually one of the very first kids that we had. And he was a kid, didn't have much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Didn't have much at all. And we kind of just was going into gyms. Like BHS was a big one. We went into the gyms. Yo, y'all trying to train, trying to work out?
Yeah.
And that just kind of grew into, 60 kids and, 100 kids. And year after year, I would come back in the summers to grow it. And I would go back for my contract. And then as I came back, I kind of had a staff that would manage it over the year while I was gone. And it just grew and grew.
The process, and I know it's been a while, so I don't know, but the process, because it started off as a nonprofit, for people who might be thinking about a nonprofit, like what was that process like? Because I know there are several steps that can take several months.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to it. It limits you in how you can run your business because of the logistics of, tracking everything and doing things a certain way. But the pros obviously are that you can acquire a lot more financial assistance, from donors and businesses and things of that sort for the write-off potential.
Right.
But we just really didn't know how to start at that time. It was really just like we got going doing some stuff just in a gym, not charging people, you know what I'm saying? And then we went the nonprofit route because I wasn't really around.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'm funding everything out of my own pocket, which was cool. But I think we ended up initially we had one guy who came in and kind of like wrote some checks for some kids and things of that sort. So that's kind of why we went the nonprofit route, so he can get those write-offs. And then we stayed like that for a little while until we needed to change.
Got it. And for me, I know there's some entrepreneurs out there, future entrepreneurs. I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it's like start where you stand. You know what I mean? A lot of times we are waiting for, things to line up perfectly. And especially if you're in a space that no one in your family has gone into, and you can seek out mentors for sure, and we'll talk about that. But just getting started, and it sounds like that's basically what you guys did. Because prior to that, so when you talk about training, okay, you got the basketball experience, but were you like a trained trainer?
No, I'm regurgitating everything that I had been taught over the years, all the way through college. I don't believe in like trained trainers. That's why like these trainers that call themselves trainers and they're YouTube trainers. They have learned everything from YouTube. For sure. Or watching another coach, which is fine, but there's nothing better than a person that's been in that huddle. Yeah. And has been looking at that coach in the eye with 50,000 people surrounding him. Right. And knows what that player is going to go through. Right. Because that's the biggest thing is like, yo, I promise you, you're going to go through this. Right. It's not like, oh, yeah, you're going to go through that. No, I promise you, you're going to go through it. Right. And it's going to look and feel like this. That's what you need. Right. So, and I wasn't a trained trainer. I was just a hooper.
Okay, so Game Day Sports Academy. I mean, I moved to Bakersfield in 2020.
I think so, yeah.
And 2020, and I remember when I first moved, before we moved, like we were worried about like the air quality and stuff like that. So, you're doing research with the air quality and stuff like that. And I'm not really going out or doing a whole lot, but I'm like, all right, let me Google Bakersfield entertainment. And no disrespect to anybody who rides horses or wear cowboy hat, but that was the first picture that came up. And I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm like, man, where am I going, right? So I just remember that. But the Game Day Sports Academy, I remember that being like the first thing that popped up, and I went through what I needed to get to. And I made a couple phone calls, and we ended up connecting. But what was the transition like from BUA to GSA?
It was very different. I ain't gonna lie. That's when it became like a business. You know what I'm saying? Like before it was like a mom and pop scenario that just like exponentially grew really fast because I was just putting in the hours, like putting in the foot traffic or whatnot. And then when it goes to Game Day Sports Academy, that's when it's like a for real like business that's like trying to grow and scale and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That's when the adversity and the growth, the growing pains come before that for sure. But when you talk about going from one level to an entirely different level, that I definitely saw a sports complex when we first started because me and my dad used to talk about it, and those weren't even things back in the day. Like I don't know if you grew up with sports complexes on the East Coast.
No, I mean you had some gyms, you had gyms, but it wasn't like an actual multiplex.
Nah, like even like in Anaheim, Open Gym Premier and all that was not when I was a kid. But we used to talk about it, right? So definitely had that in mind. But like when you start to understand all the nuts and bolts that really come with it, it's like there's an adjustment there, not just in business, but like your personal character and habits and all that have to change. So that was a big adjustment. A good one though.
Yeah. So GSA, Dignity Health Sports Complex, 55,000 square foot facility. Like, just give us, I guess, the brief rundown on how do you even acquire that type of facility? What did that look? I mean, this is just a cash transaction. Is this partnerships? Is this like what does that look like for someone who might be thinking about?
Man, I'm gonna keep it real with you. It was God, bro. Like that's the best way to explain it. Because, you start to look at it like, I've done all this stuff and, I've been very fortunate and I've worked hard, but this wasn't supposed to work out. You know what I mean? Like, because that's really what those big moments look like. Even if you picture yourself going to NBA draft or something like that and you sitting in a room and everybody say, you're supposed to go from either 5 to 10 or something. You don't know.
Right.
You could go 15, 20, 30. You could go second round. You don't know. You might not make it.
Right.
It's really one of those scenarios where it's like you talking about it, you putting in the work, but you just really, at times it seems like it's not going to work out. And it's times nothing you can do about that.
Right.
And then literally next day you get a phone call and dominoes start to go and it's like, all right, we doing this. So I don't think there was one point in time where I was just like, oh yeah, this is going to happen.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I really can't answer that. Like, that's why I say it's just God, man. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes with it. Definitely, obviously, partners. And, I went to Garces, so that was a great networking tool for me to be able to do stuff like that. And just being who I was and people knowing who I am. Not like as a basketball player, but just as a person. And my morals and my work ethic and just understanding that I don't quit. Like, I don't give up on anything. That's a big deal when you're talking about working with somebody. Follow through, all that stuff. So, it's a lot. Like, the connections and networking, the just things just lining up and domino effect.
And it sounds like for me, just like continuing to work through, because there wasn't any blueprint, and just kind of working through some of, obviously you have relationships and things like that, but just continue. You started and continuing the process and working through it, and obviously God being involved. But just working through the process. So you go from GSA to now you have a facility in Reno.
Partly, yeah.
Partly in Reno. So are you looking to like scale GSA in a different way? Like what's the goal and the future looking like?
I don't know, man. I'm in a totally different space now than I was. You said 2020, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2021. You know, now I got like 4 kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my life is totally different, and that changed really fast. So now, like, things have to align more so on my children, to keep it real, me and my wife's children, to make sure that they're taken care of. And I mean, like, my time also. That's not just financials. Like, I need to be able to spend time with my children to make sure that they're getting, you know, all the stuff that they need to get along with financially. So I can't overwhelm myself with, you know, another building a facility in the same way I did, you know, in 2018 or whatever when we first opened, and I'm in that place until 2 a.m. Trying to figure this and that out. My kids were very little, but I did miss a lot of time with them. That was a sacrifice that I made during that time to get to this point, and I definitely can't do it like that again. Yeah. So I don't know, honestly. You know, I'm looking at a lot of different things, but always considering that as well. So.
Yeah, I think within this whole life design that we talk about, it's I think that's a major piece to it, at least for me now, in terms of not necessarily just owning the time, but being able to design your life around what it is that you want your life to look like. You know what I mean? Because opportunity is going to come your way, and is it in alignment? And for me, if it's not in alignment, then it's probably not going to work out for me.
I've heard you say that multiple times.
Yeah, no, but I think it's important. You know, the financials are important, obviously, but the alignment piece of it is extremely important, especially when we talk about, you know, your wife, kids, and you can't get those years back. You know, the 5, 10 years, you know, you can't get those years back. And I think that is absolutely possible to stay within, you know, your core values and the things that mean a lot to you, and still get to where you want to get to.
Yeah, you got to figure that out. I remember Mia. I told you this. Mia hated me. Like, bro, she did not want nothing to do with me, and that's because she was the first one. So coming from overseas, I'm traveling a lot. Like even when they were there, I'm on a plane going to Ukraine, going to Bulgaria, going to France, we tracked, bro. I wasn't.
You weren't there. Yeah.
And that's why you see these NBA guys or these successful people, and they got kids, and their kids are just messed up. Yeah. And that's a huge sacrifice to be successful, to leave your kids hanging like that, lightweight. You know what I mean? So that's when I was seeing. I was like, oh, I got it.
And Mia at that point, she's little. I mean, what is she?
When I was 4, in Poland, 5, she 3? Was maybe like 2 or 3 or something like that. And then I think towards the end of my career, I started to see that she didn't really know who I was. She knew who I was, but she didn't really know. Like now, you know, we best friends. Yeah. And, you know, she hoop like me. She want to be like me. Like we have conversation. We cool. But it wasn't like that in the past. Yeah. So that's really what made me like, all right, I got to do things differently. After I built the facility, I started to realize, like, I'm not even, like, around her like I should be. And now I will never go back to that. Yeah,
and the awareness. The awareness of that is key. I mean, being self-aware, but just being aware of the things that are going on around you and the people that love you, and just being in tune with that.
It's a big deal.
You know, it is. I was the other day, you know, we were in the house and we were singing and just having fun. And I just remember, because first of all, I am not a singer at all. But I just remember I was singing some song, and just my daughter, Ava, she just was like looking at me, and she was trying to like get the lyrics of what I was saying so she could sing along with me. And it was just a priceless moment. I didn't know why she was even looking at me at first, but it was like she was trying to get it. She was like, "You're singing too fast." Yeah. You know, so just those moments, being there and having the availability to be there and designing it so that you can be there is crucial.
Yo, you ever see a kid, they like respond to their parent like crazy? Every parent gets it.
You mean like screaming at them?
Nah, like, I am mom, you know, like stuff like that. Or I am that. Every parent gets that to a certain level. Yeah. But like if you're truly there and pouring in and just like, you know, speak, and they look up to you.
Yeah.
You don't get that as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like that moment you just talked about, that goes hand in hand with like not losing that innocence from a kid that when they're a baby, like they just, oh, you're my hero.
Yeah.
You want to keep that. And you can't do it unless you're there.
And you want to be there for that, man.
Can't do it unless you're there.
Can't do it unless you're there, for sure, 100%. Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit. Talking about basketball, real estate. Mm-hmm. So you have a real estate venture that you just started recently, I want to say, right? Yeah. What's that all about? What's that like?
So first of all, everybody wants to get into real estate now, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's people, you know, who have done it at a really high level, been very fortunate, you know, and everybody wants to try and do it because it is generational, you know what I mean? So my thing was trying to find something that, you know, is scalable,
mm-hmm.
That's going to allow my children to basically, you know, be better off than I was and am, and something that I can sit back, you know, at a later date and just watch grow. Yeah. Which that's what real estate is. So this is a mixture between, you know, wholesaling and also acquiring properties for myself that I can, you know, either flip or hold as a rental.
Okay.
But it's just about, you know, creating a system between, you know, acquisitions, which is acquiring properties, mm-hmm. dispositions, which is, like I said, if you're wholesaling, then you're disposing the properties, you're selling the properties that you acquire. Yeah. And just having a fine line between that of those two aspects working together to scale and, you know, do deals consistently month by month. That's kind of what I wanted. The company's called Keyglee.
Keyglee?
Yeah, Key as in K-E-Y and Glee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other businesses that you, because I know that you've been, at certain points you kind of spread yourself thin doing a bunch of different things. So are there any other businesses and maybe before that, for anyone who's looking to get into real estate mm-hmm. as an investor, do you have any advice for that?
Man, there's so much information out there now. You know, just in turn, like everything, just mm-hmm. the information is out there. You know, there's wholesaling. There's, you know, even being like a they call them gator lenders. Okay. I mean, if you have access to private capital of your own, you know, mm-hmm. you can get into real estate that way where you don't ever have to touch a property, but you can help fund, you know, guys that are doing fix and flips and they need PMLs, they need private money. Okay. You know, there's so many different ways that you can get into real estate now that I think the older generation that's in real estate right now and probably successful is probably not too fond of. Mm-hmm. But the younger generations, man, they are making a lot of money doing untraditional methods of real estate. Yeah, yeah. So there's just a ton of different opportunities where anybody can get into it if you're willing to really like grind and put in the work, you know? For sure. And then that will lead to, which is my thing, that will lead to, you know, yourself having a portfolio mm-hmm. and, you know, scaling to different areas and all that type of stuff. So, and it can happen pretty quickly if you just learn to do it the right way and stay with it. Got you. Anything else, any other projects that you have going on? Nah, man. Right like now? I said, my life has changed. Okay. Pretty dramatically recently, so I definitely cannot. Yeah, I definitely cannot. And I think there was a time frame where I was like, all right, I'm trying to see what's next, right? Yeah. So like, I'm trying to put my hand in a couple things and not go too deep into it to see if I want to stay there. But now it's like, no, I don't have time. Yeah, you gotta embrace that special word, no. You know? Yeah. Capital, no. No, for sure. Okay, so let me ask you this. You've been as an athletics, business person, businessman, failure. Have you ever failed? And if you've ever failed along the way, you know, is there any stories of how that failure helped you move and grow going forward? Yeah, man. I mean, one way is in management, I think. If you're a business owner, you have to, and you probably have a lot of insight because we work together, but you have to be good at managing other people, mm-hmm. you know, because that's just a big part of business. So I think my personality at one time frame needed a big adjustment, if I'm being honest, you know. Even if you have a successful business, like that can go away very fast. Yeah, yeah. If you get in your own way, right? Mm-hmm. So I think in terms of failure, I would say not looking in the mirror soon enough at times. You know, along the way, because your head might get a little big, or you might think that you should go in one direction. In reality, there's people trying to tell you that maybe you need to go in another, and you don't want to listen in that moment, or you get too caught up in yourself or whatever. So I just think that like managing yourself is a big deal. So I think I failed at times doing that, which honestly helped me out a lot.
Okay.
And then I think I failed at managing people individually, because you got to manage. Everybody's different. Like me and your relationship working together is going to be way different than anybody else. You can't treat everybody the same. You can't try and manage everybody the same. So I'd say that's like the biggest one.
Yeah. I think there's something. I asked these kids one time, was it bad to fail? And the kids like, oh yeah, it's bad. I don't want to. And a lot of times they don't realize that that's where this. My daughter and I, we talk about this all the time. That's how you learn and you grow. It's through the failures, through the challenges, through the tough times, and being in those uncomfortable spaces and finding your way through it and what you can get out of it is the biggest thing. And a lot of times we don't embrace. And failure, I don't even know if failure is the right word, because there's this negative connotation with just failure, as much as it's a challenge to kind of get through, and the perspective that you look at it, from, and what can you get out of it.
For sure. I don't know if failure is the right word either, but adversity is definitely the right word. But failure, I don't know. I don't think I would consider failing at anything, but just the adversity, I would say, is definitely something that helped me over time. For sure. Now I am thinking in my head right now, like I can picture moments where like I'm growing and hating it at the same time. Like I can literally see myself and feel myself in those moments, and those are tough. Yeah.
Self-reflection. What are your thoughts on like self-reflection just in general? And what does that look like for you?
I mean, we talked a little bit about it in terms of looking in that mirror. But even right now, like, me and my wife, our faith is as strong as it's ever been right now, right? So I think that's a big self-reflection moment for us, is like looking back, we did not give that priority. So like morally, and how we deal with stuff, and how we respond to stuff, and how we deal with I guess failure, if we're using that word, we're seeing that was like a big missing piece of our lives. Not that it was completely missing, but it's just that wasn't the first thing we went to when something happened, right? Whether it was good or bad. Now it's like at the forefront of everything we do. We talk about like every night. We're praying. Our kids, like my daughter sends us text messages when she's not with us. It's a prayer, like she's praying for us when she's away.
That's what's up.
It's like the priority. So like anything bad that happens still sucks. It's not good. It's tough, but it's like you have a very fine tool to deal with it that ultimately makes it okay. And then gives you perspective that says like, yo, it's really not that bad. It gives you perspective to see, like, when you go to Starbucks and you're going through a bad day and you see the homeless guy sitting there with a sign, you know what I mean? Like, some people don't even acknowledge that. They just drive right by that dude. Because they're so caught up in, like, what they're going through.
Right.
But, like, when when your faith is first and that you see that guy and you're like, damn, it's really not that bad what I'm going through, you know what I mean? Like, I'm truly blessed. So that probably is the self-reflection that me, my wife, my family are going through right now.
So in terms of, your spirituality and your faith in God, like when did that really, can you really pinpoint a time when that really kind of became a much larger part of your life? Yeah,
my man, Pastor Alberto Bello, who actually, they are Sundays in the morning at the facility now.
Okay.
I met him and his family 2020, I met you. So like either right around there or right after that. And he was at First Assembly. He was the youth pastor there. And I don't know, he just connected. Like, most pastors will talk over you, or even like adults when you're younger or any age will talk over you. He definitely connected to us where it was relatable. So then we started taking it serious because it applied to our actual lives instead of just like some thing that's out there. and that it grew pretty rapidly within me and my family, which got us to where we are right now. So it was a great moment.
No, that's awesome. Okay, so let me talk to you about habits and rituals. I mean, I think as an athlete, you probably have like rituals and habits. Are there any like habits and rituals that you kind of like went to or go to, whether it was in the past as an athlete or as a student, as a business, like habits and rituals? Like, again, I say this a lot of times, I get up at 3 a.m. 6 days a week. And that's a part of my ritual because looking in the mirror, I can't get it done if I don't work in those 3 hours early in the morning. So that's a part of what I do, and that's helped my production. Is there anything that you could share with us that has helped you along the way?
I haven't always been a 5 a.m. guy. I am now.
Okay.
That's been going for a little while. So that does help. But I'll say I hated taking a day off. Like as a player, and this is reality. This is not how I felt. But if I took a day off, I would come back looking like a different player.
I remember you told me. We had that conversation one time. I remember you told me that.
And that was a reality. It was not like something that was in my head. It was like if we had a game on Sunday and I took Monday off, or we had a game on Saturday, I took Sunday off and came back to practice on Monday, I would feel awful. My body would hurt. My jumper was already broke looking, so I don't have perfect form. So I can't really not shoot.
Right.
I can't really take a day
so
and
just
not
the
shoot.
Consistency.
Yeah, because if you have perfect form, you can afford to kind of like, I'm not saying you can afford it, but you can afford it more than others to kind of like take that break maybe, because you can rely on your form. But I didn't have that, so it kind of helped me because I didn't take days off. And now today, it's like a good and bad thing. Like we'll be at Disneyland. I ain't gonna lie, I'm working a little bit, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm playing with my kids, I'm getting on rides, and I'm still doing it. So I still find a way to kind of do it all, but still not take days off.
No, I hear you.
That's like my ritual and the habit that I built is just to consistently work.
Yeah, consistently work, man. Can't be mad at it.
Yeah.
Okay, mentors. So you're a mentor. Mentor to a lot of people. What's the significance for you? Well, let me ask you this: did you have mentors like throughout your process as an athlete and coming up as a businessman? And then what's the significance of being a mentor to others for you?
Yeah, my college coach was probably my biggest mentor, Mark Fox, who, by the way, just got the assistant coach job at Kentucky.
Oh, word.
That's huge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say he was my biggest mentor. And then I don't know if I had too many. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Keep it real. I don't know if I had too many that my parents obviously were my go-to phone call. But I don't know if I had too many like consistent mentors. And yeah, like we had guys that in and out, like Terrence Minoy.
Yeah.
But like he wasn't like in my life.
Right.
My dad had a better relationship with him, so I would see Terrence in and out, and I would keep up with him and say like, oh man, he's doing good, man. Like like a especially a black male figure that started one place and is doing a lot better now. But I don't know. No,
it's interesting too, because I think sometimes we look at mentors in different ways. People that might have given you some tips or some jewels along the way, some encouragement, those type of things. But so you're a mentor. Why is it so important for you to be a mentor? Because I've seen you personally, take people to the side and invest time and invest energy, and I'm sure it's other things as well. And it just feels natural, and it's something that from the outside looking in, it's not something that's forced. To me, that's just Kyle. That's a part of who. So why is that important?
Because if I would have had that more, my jump shot wouldn't have been so broke. And I might have went to Duke instead of Nevada. Scratch that. I loved Nevada, so I went there for a very specific reason.
Yeah.
But then God put you where He put you for a reason.
Sure,
but I'm just saying, I would have had somebody, tell me things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
If I would have had that consistent mentorship. And I think maybe that's why it's organic within me, because I don't even try to do it half the time. I'm not going to lie. But I see something like this weekend, bro. We had a tournament. I cannot like watch bad basketball.
No, I hear you.
It's so hard.
Right.
And then, like, I find myself in the after game huddle. It's my daughter plays for Storm, and the team is not even my team.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, coach, can I say one thing?
Right. No,
And
I hear you.
then here I go, and I'm like, all right, just let me walk over here because I just can't do it. So, I don't know.
No, it's funny because you take me back to, I remember I was in San Diego. We were living in San Diego, and I just went to like the playground or something just to get some shots up. And I'm getting my shots up, and there's this kid on the other court, and he's killing the backboard. I mean, like all I hear is bong, bong, bong. It was a metal backboard. And I just remember I couldn't take it. I'm like, man, can I show you a couple things? This, I'm not a in quotes trainer or anything. This is just like, you like basketball. Let me show you a couple things.
Right.
And then like that moment, maybe like a couple of weeks later, turned into, you know what? Maybe I should, do something with that. So it's just interesting, man. It's just like the things that naturally come to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so circle of friends. I call them your tribe. Mm-hmm. Your circle, your tighter circle. Have you had like the same circle? Have you ever had to distance yourself from people and make changes?
Yeah, I think that was. I mentioned 2021, and like us starting the process of like putting our faith first, right? Mm-hmm. So that was a huge transition in who I let in my life. Yeah. I think before that, honestly, like the worst time of my life was coaching high school basketball because it was so toxic. Yeah. It wasn't let's support each other. Yeah. It was me against you from coach to coach, kid to kid, school to school, even the city's divided, you know what I mean? So that, like, it all surrounds you and you get this bad feeling. So coming out of that, I was just like, yo, I have to change my circle because this is crazy. Yeah. Not supposed to be like this. But at the same time, no one wants to listen to that. So that was the start of it. And then my faith became another part of it that's like, yo, if I'm going to stay in line and, have that alignment in my life, like I got to have the right people around me. Sure. It's not a lot of those. Yeah. So now it's just like, yo, I'm cool just being with my family. Like, I'm cool with that. Yeah. And then whoever comes in will be someone that's meant to be there and kind of like, God has placed them there, like chess, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't have a big circle. My circle has changed like too many times, honestly, and I'm fine with that. So,
man, I think there's a lot to be said about, especially as a young person. Yeah. Especially as a young person, like who you allow to be in your life. I know when I was in high school, my friends were my friends, and I love my friends. But many of my friends, we were just living day to day, moment to moment, and. Some of them did some really good things. Some of them didn't, really accomplish the things that they probably could have accomplished. But just evaluating who you allow to be in your life. I think sometimes we just accept people and circumstances and even like family members, it's just interesting how that part of your life can be so significant in a good way and a bad way. Here in Bakersfield, I surround myself with all kinds of wonderful people and just like opportunities and just the energy and just the universe moves out the way for me, but it just wasn't that way for a while. So I really encourage people, I call it take an inventory. Take an inventory of the people that's in your life, man, because if you don't really look at them with honest eyes, 2 months, 2 years, 10 years goes by, and you've lost time, and you become those people that you surround yourself with.
You remember COVID was like a big time for everybody going through that. It was like, I don't know, all the stuff was going on, like everything, right? From the racial stuff to the COVID-19 stuff, and everybody had an opinion. We ain't gonna get into that, but like that was like when I feel like a lot of people started to sift their own, relationships and see who was supposed to be there, who wasn't, or whatever. But I just had a conversation with a kid just yesterday, and I was like, yo, why is it when kids are in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they're like great kids. They're amazing. And then as soon as they get to like 8th grade, high school for sure, they change into like these just weird, you don't even know who they are. Yeah. And I was like, they're influenced by their peers. They think they have to be somebody they're not. Yeah. Like, it happens crazy. Yeah. You see a kid come to our facility, they're little, they're just great kids. And then they become high school kids. It's just, ugh.
Man, I think it's important for parents and those mentors to just drive those messages home as frequently as possible, man. I mean, I write these little notes to my daughter, and we have little conversations about just being a leader and being okay with just being different from people around you. And they're going to say things that you know are not okay. They're going to do things that you know are not okay. It's okay for you not to do that,
For
you know,
sure.
and be your own person.
Don't try to be popular. Like that's the biggest like thing that'll suck a kid in is like I wanna be part of the group.
Yeah.
That's
Trying to
where it goes
impress,
downhill.
but see, the crazy thing is you're trying to impress people that most of them you're not even going to know in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years, and you're trying to impress people that, you know, really don't make a difference.
Well, being alone is scary. The idea of being by yourself can be scary,
sure.
but at the end of the day, it's okay. So you got to get comfortable with that first.
No,
That's what I just told yesterday to the kid, that like it's okay to be by yourself. Like, that's all right.
Yeah, no, by all means, when you're, you know, 12, 15, you know, what your friends think is really important. Many times it's the most important thing in the world. But when you take a look at it and just be intentional, that's the thing for me. It's like, I'm not saying cut off your friends and your family, but like just look at them. If you have an idea for something that you want to do, are the people that you are surrounding yourself, are they helping you in any way to get there? You know, so just take a look at it.
For sure.
Okay, so knowing what you know now, we talked about this a little bit on the phone. You had mentioned this, so I'm curious what your thoughts. Now that you're 38, at 18 years old, what would you have? Is there anything that you would have done, maybe, I don't know how much, but that you would have done differently at that age, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, knowing what you know now?
It's too much to even. I mean, I'll pick one thing. There's a ton, obviously, but like I'll pick one thing, which I would say we spoke on it in the very beginning. I would say to be intentional about my plan. Like if I could map, and it's not going to go as planned. Nothing goes as planned. There's not one thing I've ever done that has gone how I planned it to go. But just to have that guide to my life, like this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. This is how I get there. This is what I need to do every single day to get there. This is what I need to change about myself to be able to do that every single day to get there. Like I would pay more attention to those things. I would separate myself from people like we talked about, like especially as an athlete, like it's a good thing that you walk on the court and you're different. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to separate yourself and stand out. So you want to be different.
For sure.
You want to be the first one in the gym by yourself when no one's there. You know, you want to be the last one to leave when no one's there. Yeah. So I would definitely just, like, be more intentional about the thought process behind what I want to do, which we already talked about a little bit.
Nice. All right, I'm gonna wrap it up in a minute here, but I wanted to play this game, what you call Imagine If.
Okay.
All right. Imagine if you could relive one memorable moment from your past. What would that moment be, and why? Don't mean you have to change it, but if you could relive it.
I could go a bunch of moments in the NCAA tournament because those are moments that like could make or break your life. You know what I'm saying? Like those are moments, you know, one shining moment and all that stuff. Like you play.
Yo, listen, bro, I get goosebumps every time I hear that song.
Yeah, like you could have one good game. I've seen so many guys in person have one good game and just totally change their whole lives. Yeah. But I think even going before that, like, you know, there's moments in high school as an athlete where you have those same moments, you know what I mean? So I think it starts at such an earlier stage in your life where you have the opportunity to really, like, go left and just blow your life up. Yeah. Or go right and maybe go the opposite route. Yeah, yeah. So I think there was moments where, you know, I was in my high school career. I did not take full advantage of, you know, being on the court with guys like Aaron Aflalo. I don't know if you remember. Oh, yeah. Went to UCLA. Yeah. or, you know, I played with SCA, who was a Nike program, and, you know, they had all the top guys at that point. I just didn't fully take opportunity, you know, of those moments. So I'd say that, man, just.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say that. All right. Imagine if you could have dinner with any 3 to 5 historical figures. Who would you invite to dinner, and what country would you take them to eat? Living, dead or alive, doesn't matter.
Yeah, the country I would take them to, just because I've been there, I'd take them to Poland.
Okay.
Because the currency is amazing. So if you go anywhere in Europe and you're using the euro, you're very limited just because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But in Poland, it was like 4 to 1. So like I eat like a king. Like you can go to the best restaurants. You can go everywhere. So I'd probably do something like that. And they got great food. It's a great country. I love it. Man.
3 to 5 historical figures.
I mean,
wherever you want.
I'm a hooper, and then obviously I'm an entrepreneur. So you know what? I'm gonna go MJ, man. I'm a big MJ fan. I've always been like that. And I'm gonna put LeBron in that one as well, because both of them, I consider them my GOATs. Magic Johnson, because he's an amazing entrepreneur and was an amazing athlete. So like, you know, and then the adversity he's went through. Can't even imagine dealing with that, right? Like making those mistakes and having to come back from that, and
I can't imagine.
And then still being who he is right now, you know what I mean? Like the boy's made a lot of mistakes, but came back from it amazingly. And then the business part is crazy. And then I'd probably pick somebody from, like, you know, the Martin Luther King days. Because I think as black men, we take a lot for granted. That, like, my parents tell me stories of them growing up that's like, what? Like, you went through that? That's crazy. And you're still here?
For sure.
You saw that? Their lives were nothing like ours. So, maybe like a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X or something like that would be pretty cool.
That'd be dope. Having a dinner in Poland.
Having dinner in Poland.
All right, last one. Imagine if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice about designing your life. What would it be?
I know. So a lot of kids have the information, or someone's trying to give them the information, but for some reason they don't want to hear it, right? You know, especially as a coach, you're always saying, like, bro, why you don't listen? Or if you just would do this, you have no idea, right? And it's like people are giving you the map. They're telling you, like, if you would just do this, you would get that.
Right.
But when you're younger, it's like you just don't want to hear it sometimes.
Right.
I would just say listen.
Yeah.
Just listen and stop being so hard-headed.
Yeah.
Like, this person's trying to tell you something that will help you. Just listen and shut your mouth is what probably I would tell my younger person. That was a big deal. Listening was not my biggest thing back in the day.
Yeah, and I would even say, like, just piggybacking on that, listen, but take a chance. Listen to the advice, right? But take a chance and execute on the thing. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes we feel like we have to have all the answers, especially when you're a superhero and you're 16 years old and you know everything, and people telling you, you're this and you're that. So I think listening, but taking a chance on, another way is something. So cool. All right, so there's a young person and they have a dream or something that they want to do. It's a big dream, but they don't have any support from family and friends. They basically don't believe in them. They don't believe in their dream. Maybe the dream in their eyes is too big, but they don't have any support for this thing that they love, that they want to do. What do you tell them?
I think, especially now with social media, I mean, you can just go in a DM and, you can write somebody and say, hey, looking for this, looking for that.
Yeah.
I love what you do. So whether you get a response or not, there's a million of those people. Yeah. In every category of life now. Okay. There's really no excuse. I'm going to keep it real with you. Like, now there's no excuse. I think back in the day, different. But So either that, or I'd say be intentional about going to the place that person could be.
Got you.
You know what I mean?
Got you.
Like, I don't think the option of sitting back and waiting anymore is even realistic. So
Yeah.
I would say either going to the place where that person could be, or I would say use your, the social media and your networking abilities there to reach out to people and get the advice. Find mentorship groups. They're all out there.
Yeah.
So I really don't think there's an excuse nowadays.
For sure. Okay, so then you got a young person, that's just basically living every day to day, not really thinking about the future, but just like every day I wake up, I'm on my IG, I'm on my TikTok, whatever. I'm not really thinking about anything other than this next day.
Right.
What are you talking to them about?
I say be ready to go through some pretty tough times. If you're like that, then your life is going to be pretty difficult. And that's just the reality of it. So, for that kid that is in that place, I think when you do, because we all realize it at some point, right? That we can't be that way. That when you finally realize, I need to stop doing this.
Yeah.
Then, there's going to be some setbacks from that. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be a lot older than you wish you were, and there's going to be all that I wish I could have and all that type of stuff. But I think also understand that, like, whether you believe in God or not, like, that it's intentional, right? I would say that understanding it was meant to go that way for a reason, so that you could look back on that and then say, like, I'm growing, I grew, or this is what I know now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people always say, I wish I could have, or I wish, and all this, but it's all part of the plan, you know what I mean? Like, we all were like that in some way, shape, or form. So, yeah, I would say that.
No, for sure. Why is, because you clearly designed your life the way that you want it to be, right? So, but why is that important to you?
I mean, being 38, it's easy to answer now. But it's important to me because I get to regurgitate that to my children. And, I guess, the mentorship aspect of these other kids that I'm randomly spitting to. Yeah. But now it's more about my children having the opportunities that I never even thought I could have, because they're going to be so much more well off, like from morally to the knowledge they have to the resources to they have, that just me as a parent, you know what I mean? Like, they are going to have so many opportunities. Yeah. It's crazy. So I think the main thing is, like, if you're going to be a parent, thinking about being a parent, or potentially could, you ain't doing it for you. Like, take yourself out of it 100%. Right then. Yeah. Like, even if you make the money, you're not making the money for you. Yeah. You're definitely doing it for, that next generation. So I'd say that's why it's important. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, I appreciate your time, man. This has been dope. So I only had two other things. Is I personally believe that people that have designed their life, that have crafted their life to be what they wanted to be, they know other people that have designed a life. So I want you to think about one person that has designed their life around their dreams or their passions and their talents, right? And if you can give me the name, but you got to be able to help us get him on the show, him or her.
I definitely could do that, but I would be careful.
Okay.
Right now.
Saying the name out loud.
Well, there's multiple people, but, like, first of all, you want to find somebody that's actually going to do it, right?
Well, yeah, for sure.
You want somebody that would act, because I know a lot of successful people, but some of them are jerks. I'm not going to
That's all good. That's all good.
I mean, that's what's got them to where they are. That's what works for them. So, like, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but it'd be a silly phone call. But yeah, I definitely could think of some people. Okay. I'm just very careful in who I like. Hey, babe, you should call this person.
Right. No, for sure.
So yeah,
sure.
I definitely could give you that.
Yeah, no, think about that. I mean, and the idea again is, I'm talking to different types of people from different walks of life, because it's not like everybody's not going to be the hooper, everyone's not going to be the lawyer, everyone's not going to be, the entrepreneur. But the idea around this is to teach people that you can design your life around your thing, whatever that thing is. and use this platform as an opportunity to kind of tap into like your virtual mentor, if you will, and just get some jewels. But I totally get it. Okay, so how can people get in contact with, whether it be you or find out about your projects, GSA, website?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all online. I'm on Instagram, Kyle Shiloh, first of all. You know, my facility stuff is Kyle at GameDaySportsAcademy.com.
Okay.
I'm very easy to get a hold of. It's no secret. You know, you can find me either at my facility or very easy to get in contact with. So.
And real estate, give us the name of the.
Yeah, so it's Keyglee. It's Keygle is
Okay.
The franchise actually. And yeah, I mean that's really like a situation where there's a distressed property or a probate or an inherited property.
Okay.
Or, you know, it could be any type of scenario that people come across where they have something, a property in general, that they don't want, or they don't want to be bothered with the burden of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are the type of properties that we want. And yeah, if anybody has something like that, definitely contact me.
Absolutely. Hey, look, this has been another wonderful episode, a great conversation with my man Kyle. And I think one thing that I get out of this conversation is just always be able to look within and self-reflect. Be intentional about that, because there is so much that can be lost when you don't self-reflect, when you don't look within yourself in terms of what is there, what could be there, what might be there, and never be afraid to make changes. This is another episode of Design Your Life. Remember that you, my friend, are a champion. Tune in with us next week. We'll be back with another amazing guest. Design Your Life. Peace.
Design your life.
You gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Feeling masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Align your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet. Then you gotta dream it, like you mean it. Embrace the vision, no need to conceal it. Dream masterpiece, the colors so bright. Aim for the stars, reach new heights. Design your life, don't let it design you. Chase your dreams, make them all come true. Dance to the rhythm, move with the beat. You're the creator, get up on your feet.